Okay, hi, everybody. This is going to be chapter 17, part 2. I know I look a little blurry, but that's adding to the mystery of the book. Okay, I'm starting on 219. I might repeat a little bit. I'm at the first paragraph on 219. I thought this view was perfect when we saw it for the first time, but it's far more perfect now. I guess this is why they mean by breathtaking. This is what they mean by breathtaking. Something so enchanting that it's actually hard to breathe when you see it. Even Kyle is speechless. The tables set with golden plates, the ginormous bouquets, the shiny dance floor reflecting the sunset, the stage where men in white tuxedos are just now picking up their brass instruments, the linking pools, the manicured jungle, and high above it all, Vulcan Pajaro de Lava, releasing an elegant twisting strand of yellowish smoke, as though la lava has made sure that even the volcano will be on its best behavior tonight. The volcano looks calmer than it's been in a while, aside from the odd, intense color of that smoke. Whoa, mad styles, Rue gasps, pointing at a man in a bright yellow sequin tuxedo, strolling alongside a woman in a matching bright yellow sequined ball gown. Don't point, I mutter, pulling her hand down. Banana split, Rue jokes to herself and under her breath. Stunning, Mom sighs. Absolutely stunning. Girls, what do you think of this? I have to pee, Rue says, hopping back and forth, imitating so well a little girl who can't hold it anymore that it takes me a second to realize what she's doing. Of course. We need to get to the ladies' room as soon as possible to wait for Vivi. How did I manage to get distracted from that? Well, Mom says, still wanting to talk about how stunning it all is, rather than about Rue having to pee. First things first, I suppose. Your hair could use a comb, too. It's true. Rue's ponytail is already slipping and her hair is starting to frizz. I don't mind her frizz, not at all. Rue's hair has always been just as disobedient as she is. Where's the main ladies' room? Rue asks. Rue says. Mad, you'll go with her, yes? On the right-hand side of the lobby down the hallway. Okay, but is that the main ladies' room? Rue asks. Mom looks at her strangely, pulling a comb out of her beaded purse, and handing it to me. I try to give Rue a don't ask weird suspicious questions glare, but she doesn't notice. It's a ladies' room, Rue, Mom says. There will be toilets, I promise. Ken/Neth giggles. I didn't realize grown men could giggle. Okay, Rue grumbles, playing the spoiled brat. I just really want to use the main one that all the fancy ladies will be using. Mom rolls her eyes. I'm sure plenty of fancy ladies will be using it, she says. Why don't you go and establish the precedent? Meaning, why don't you just go take care of yourself? I'm not positive what establish the precedent means, but anyway, Rue takes off running, slightly lopsided from the weight of Miss Perfect. Before following her, I whisper, bye, to Kyle, who's still leaning against the balcony, gazing out over La Lava, speechless. Or maybe not speechless. Knowing Kyle, he very well may be refining our plan in his head, based on the layout below. See you by the pools, Kyle murmurs back at me with careful casualness, as though he's not giving me an instruction. I give a quick nod and rush off after Rue. Don't run, Mom calls out to Rue, but Rue's far enough away that she can ignore her. I catch up with Rue just as she passes beneath the honeysuckle archway. We hurry through the white marble lobby, past the gold block in the front desk, and down the hallway to the right as Mom instructed. On the other side of the frosted glass door, where golden letters spell out Ladies' Lounge, there are golden toilets, and the sink is a long, shallow rectangle filled with black stones and more orchids. The floor is glass, and beneath the glass, there's this collage of pressed jungle leaves and flowers, and there are silky red cloths for us to use for drying our hands. In other words, it's the most wonderful bathroom I've ever been in, and at least for now, we have it to ourselves. Hello. Can we live in this bathroom, please? Rue says, leaning against the golden wall and lifting her skirt way up high. Rue, what are you doing? I scold her before I realize that, of course, she's checking on Miss Perfect, who's there in her pouch, limp, eyes closed. My heart actually skips a beat when I see her. Is she? I panic for half a second before the bird slowly opens her eyes and gazes at me. How's she doing? Rue asks, pawing at the fabric of her skirt and trying to crane her neck around it. It's hard for her to get a good look at the bird, what with all the layers of taffeta. Hey, Rue, why don't you at least go into a stall? People could be. How are you doing, Mademoiselle Perfect? Rue interrupts, ignoring me. The bird doesn't even have the energy to hiss at me right now. Instead, she stares up from her hiding place with this exhausted yet calm look. I wonder why she seems so weak. Is she thirsty, or hungry, or scared, or stressing about her eggs, or all of the above? She needs water, I tell Rue confidently, as though I know what's what. But right then, the frosted glass door of the bathroom starts to swing open. Rue swiftly drops her skirt, and by the time the newcomers see us, the taffeta has fallen back into place. Why, hello, the rich ladies say to us. They're wearing so many diamonds, it's hard to look at them. It almost burns your eyes. For an instant, I think one of them is Vivi, but that's just because I'm hoping for her. They're definitely not Vivi. They're all blonde, for one thing, or at least dyed blonde. I feel suddenly nervous standing there in the bathroom. What if the rich ladies get suspicious of me and Rue hanging out in the ladies' lounge for no apparent reason? But if you two aren't ever adorable, the ladies say on their way out. Imagine that skin. Youth, youth, youth. Thanks, Rue. And I say awkwardly, the second they're gone, we work fast. Rue pulls her skirt up again, and I fill my hands with water from one of the automatic golden sink spigots, squeezing my fingers tightly together so only a bit of water leaks through. Then I kneel down and hold the water up to Miss Perfect. She sticks her beak through the netting of the pouch and sips from my hands. It feels surprisingly great to have a bird that can hardly stand me, no less, drinking from my palms. The light touch of her beak reminds me of that pleasant sensation when Mom put lipstick on me. The water revives Miss Perfect somewhat, but she still seems fragile. Oh, Miss Perfect, murmurs worriedly, gazing over the bunched layers of her skirt. Better drop your skirt before anyone else comes in, I warn her, as much as I too wish we can keep an eye on Miss Perfect. If Miss Perfect is too weak to do what we need her to do, well, let's not even go there. Grudgingly, Rue lets her dress fall back into place. So what's next? I say. Rue, who can I tell is fretting about Miss Perfect, doesn't respond. Listen, I say, we can't both hang out in here the whole time. Two girls in the bathroom are a lot more noticeable than one, and if Mom and Kath catch a glimpse of at least one of us out there, they won't get suspicious. So let's trade off, okay? Every 15 minutes or so, okay? Kyle told me to meet him by the pools, so how about I head out there now? I pull the letter for Vivi out of my bodice and pass it to Rue. I'll come back to trade spots with you really soon. Just wait here and act normal, and be ready to give this to Vivi. I'm shocked, absolutely shocked, that I can talk this way right now, that I can make a plan and give orders and boss Rue. I'm even more astounded that she nods obediently and sinks down onto the golden bench. Sounds good, she says softly. I'll just sit here with Miss Perfect. The peace and quiet will be nice for her anyway. I feel lonely leaving the ladies' lounge without Rue. I wish we could stick together through everything, but I think this is the best way to do it. Now we've just got to trust that Vivi will have to use the bathroom at some point before everyone gets seated for dinner. It's the cocktail part of the evening, which means people are sipping from crystal goblets as they stroll among pools and balconies, up and down marble steps, laughing and talking in carefree voices, everyone as beautiful as movie stars. But instead of noticing the gorgeousness, I focus my energy on finding Kyle. It seems like it shouldn't be so hard to spot a teenage boy among all these grown men. The one guy whose tuxedo isn't tailored to him. I resist the urge to run as I look for Kyle in the crowd. I hurry down the staircase, past tuxedoed waiters, swirling by with bright drinks on silver trays, past a woman almost falling backward into a pool as she snaps at her tall, dark, and handsome date, through clusters of ladies and gentlemen clinking champagne glasses, all of them blurring into nothing more than hurdles to navigate my search for Kyle. I'm desperate to touch base with him about the plan, but I'm even more desperate just to see him, to gain confidence from his confidence that we can do this. Floating candles appear in the pools. The air smells more fragrant by the second. Honeysuckle and minerals. There's some new beautiful thing, a vase of yellow calla lilies, a miniature waterfall everywhere my eyes land. Enchanting, almost like it's casting a spell over my brain. I shake my head, clear my mind, and think about Kyle. By the time I finally find him standing alone in the shadows on one of the smaller balconies and holding a tall glass of pink liquid, it's almost time for me to head back to the ladies' lounge to swap spots with Rue. What's she drinking? I ask, trying to sound 100% more casual than I feel. Don't know, Kyle says, gazing upward once again, not noticing my dress. Some kind of virgin grapefruit or something or other. I'm surprised by how calm he sounds. I realize I had this idea. When I found him, he'd fling, I realized that I had this idea that when I found him, he'd fling his arms open and thank me for tracking him down and tell me that just the sight of me makes him feel brave, which is, yes, probably what I would do if our positions were reversed. Plus, am I the only one who's terrified about this gala and what we have to do here? Where is everyone? I demanded irritably. Your mom and Ken are chatting with La Lava Yoga people. Somewhere around here, Kyle says, knowing exactly who I meant when I said everyone, and my grandparents wanted to get settled into their seats at the dinner table early. Meanwhile, he's still gazing upward like it's his job. Annoyed, I follow his gaze, and who should I see there but Vivi, several balconies above us. So that explains Kyle's staring. My heart speeds up. Of course, we knew she'd be here, but somehow actually seeing her makes it feel all more real. Also, get this. Her dress is pretty much the exact same grassy green color as mine. There are about 15 people crowding around her as she throws her head back to let out a low kind of growling laugh. Look, I whisper to Kyle. Vivi and I are wearing the same color. That seems like a good sign, right? This comment is partly meant to be relevant to the mission and partly meant to see if I can get Kyle to notice what I'm wearing, but he just nods and tips his glass back. The instant Kyle drains the glass, a silver tray containing two new pink drinks appears practically out of thin air. Man, this place is unbelievable. Before we can even thank that waiter, along comes another waiter with a tray of appetizers, some lovely thing I don't even recognize, yellow and green and white piled on a cracker. We each take a couple. It's then when I notice Kyle's hand shaking as he lifts a cracker into his mouth that I realize he's nervous too, no matter how cool he may seem. And frankly, that makes my own hand shake. I've got to go back and trade spots with Rue, I inform him. We decided it's less suspicious that way. Hopefully she'll come along soon. I poke my chin upward at Vivi. Kyle nods again, barely acknowledging my existence as he stares at Vivi with that familiar big thoughts look on his face. Hey, Kyle, I say, wanting some kind of reassurance from him before I go. Do you really think this whole bathroom plan is going to work? Absolutely, Kyle says, finally looking at me, but still not seeing my dress. Kyle's bold absolutely echoes in my mind for a while, but my third shift waiting for Vivi, I think he's very, very wrong. Tons of ladies have come and gone and come and gone while I've been waiting in here, but not Vivi, never Vivi. Meanwhile, wherever Rue's in the ladies' lounge, I'm on the outside. I see Vivi on this or that balcony. Oops, excuse me. Hang on, I'll stop for a second if I can. Whoa, not doing very well. Stop. Okay, back. Kyle's bold absolutely echoes in my mind for a while. But by my third shift waiting for Vivi, I think he's very, very wrong. Tons of ladies have come and gone while I've been waiting in here, but not Vivi, never Vivi. Meanwhile, whenever Rue's in the ladies' lounge and I'm on the outside, I see Vivi on this or that balcony, frowning and drinking and laughing and pronouncing, always surrounded by people. It's maddening. I'm really starting to wonder how we convinced ourselves we definitely crossed paths with her in the bathroom. It makes me feel like we're just three dumb kids in way over our heads. Suddenly, a gong sounds out all over La Lava, a long, deep, rich note that hovers in your ears for a moment afterward. Good Lord, what's that? A lady washing her hands asks a friend. She's swaying in a funny way as though she can't remember how to stand up straight. Like most of the women who've passed through the lounge while I've been waiting, these two don't actually seem to realize I'm here. Once in a while, a lady, usually an older one, will give me a quick smile and compliment to my skin, but mainly they just ignore me while I sit at my post on the gold bench. It almost makes me feel as though I have the superpower of invisibility. Or maybe a normal-looking American girl is just no big deal to anybody. It's the dinner time gong, the friend says. At least that's what the sexy bartender told me. Right. Dinner time, she gulps, clinging to the edge of the sink. But I am so smashed. Oh my. That means she's had a little too many cocktails. Dinner time. The word makes me go cold all over. Already, my heart deflates. What do we know now? What do we do now? I knew this wasn't going to work. Didn't I say this wasn't going to work? For the next 10 minutes, there's a big rush of women to the ladies' lounge, everyone emptying their bladders before going to their tables, and I sit there invisible as ever while the dinner gong sounds a second time, then a third, wondering what I should do. Give up? Leave the lounge? Find our table? Make a face at Rue and Kyle to tell them I didn't manage to get the letter to Vivi? Acknowledge that I failed Dad? Failed Miss Perfect? Failed everyone? The frosted glass door swings shut on an extra noisy group of women, leaving the bathroom quiet and empty, and I'm slowly, despairingly standing up, from the golden bench, when who should come in but Patricia Chevalier in her wine-red dress, followed by Vivi in her grass-green dress. Vivi, at last! But then I freeze. I can't do or say anything with Patricia Chevalier watching. I panic and dart into the third stall before they notice me. 21, Vivi is saying in her low voice. 21, Patricia. She pronounces Patricia the right way with a Spanish accent, and I decide that Patricia is actually a very beautiful name. So she must have said Patricia. 38 years old playing a 21-year-old. It's a fabulous role, but it could be extremely embarrassing. You look exceptionally young for your age. It must be Patricia Chevalier who's speaking, but she sounds so timid that I barely recognize her voice. Not 21 young, Vivi says, and please, I don't want your flattery. I just want your treatment. I am very, very sorry, the nervous version of Patricia Chevalier says. There has been a bit of a delay, but it will be ready tomorrow by noon, I absolutely promise. And I'm going, wow, how can she be making that promise? As far as Patricia Chevalier knows, there's not another LTVT on the entire planet. I've been waiting a week, Vivi says in the growl swelling up in her voice. Esperando, 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 she adds, whatever that means. If only Rue were here to translate. Patricia Chevalier murmurs something I can't make out, maybe because it's Spanish, or maybe because of her fearful voice, or maybe both. I don't wait, okay? Vivi says, her voice getting deeper. I don't wait, Patricia. Patricia Chevalier's response is lost in the sound of them locking the doors in the stalls. A strange paralyzed feeling comes over me as I realize that this is my moment. I wish more than anything it were Rue on duty right now. She'd be totally fine. She wouldn't be standing here suddenly unable to move. But then I think of Dad, of that time we talked to him up there in the jungle when we were in the pit, and I knew how worried he was, even though he was pretending not to be. I just have to pretend I'm not scared. I gather myself up. I tell myself, here goes! Exclamation point and all, forcing my legs into motion. I opened my stall and pulled a letter out from where I stuck it when Rue and I last swapped. Stepping toe heel, the quietest way to walk, as Dad taught us when we were little, I go stand across from their stalls and look down at their feet, and I freeze. Whose shoes are whose? One set of feet is in a pair of black stiletto heels. The other pair of feet is in a pair of simpler, lower tan-colored heels, but both sets of ankles are slender and untanned. Both dresses are pulled up too high for me to see their color. I have to get this right. It is so insanely important that I have to get this right. Okay, stay calm, I tell myself. Let's think this through. Vivi is a movie star, so wouldn't she wear super high fancy stilettos? Isn't that what movie stars do? Stilettos are like high heels. But then, again, Vivi is so famous, she can do whatever she wants. And maybe she doesn't want to wear uncomfortable shoes, even if they are glamorous. And the tan shoes are pretty in their own way. Patricia Chevalier, though, seems like the kind of woman who wouldn't mind being uncomfortable if it meant she got to appear extra glamorous. Plus, I've only seen her in stilettos. But she is also more of a normal person who might own more normal tan-colored heels. Also, she has to do lots of running around and hostessing tonight, so maybe she wouldn't choose to wear those impractical stilettos, high heels. I don't know, and I don't have much time. My heart is banging, my fingers shaking, my whole body feels terrified and thrilled. I try to ignore the feeling that this isn't going to work as I reach my hand under the stall with the tan shoes and hold out the letter. Ah, the woman releases a brief startled gasp. I can't tell whose voice it is, just from that gasp. And I've already made my decision anyway. I have to stick with it. A wiggle. I wiggle the letter, begging tan shoes to take it from me. A hand reaches out to snatch it. Then before anyone gets the chance to see me, I dash out the frosted glass door and head down the marble steps toward the dining area, breathing hard, my blood buzzing through me. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think I would have given the letter to the black high heels. We won't know though, because somehow it'll be revealed in chapter 18. Okay, everybody. Looking forward to talking about the book with you tomorrow. Have a good evening. It's a good one. I'm going to ask you, who do you think who do you think is wearing Vivi's shoes. Is Vivi wearing the black high-heeled stilettos or the shorter tan shoes? Bye.